Hi, welcome to Tommy and Tina and their Take It Back show here at Attorney King Studios in beautiful Coronado Island. And today we have with us John Duffy from Duffy Square Productions. But before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors today. One is the Movie Muse Productions, screenwriting out of Temecula, California.
And the other is Kesoteric Productions. They are a production company, music production in Riverside, California.
And John, I'm glad we finally got you on here. A busy man you are, Mr.
Trying to keep up with you, Tommy.
But you've got an amazing story, coming from New York to Hollywood and a transformation. And I can't wait until we can share it with our viewers.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for having me on the show, and I'm glad that we finally had a way to make this happen. So both to you and Tina, thank you.
Thank you for being here with us.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey, John?
Oh, boy. Well, it started a long time ago. I grew up in the South Bronx, which I'm sure everybody has heard of, kind of famous for probably being one of the most poorest neighborhoods in New York historically. Two presidents visited my neighborhood, President Carter and President Reagan, to highlight how urban decay was, how bad it was in America. So that was my neighborhood. I grew up the son of me and my brother of two Irish immigrants who came during the Great Depression to give us the American dream. My dad was in the U.S. Army. He died when I was 4, so I never got a chance to know him. That was my first memory. And then I dropped out of high school when I was 15 and following in my brother's bad footsteps. And and that started me on a journey that eventually led me to today. So I'll stop there and let you respond, and I'll go further.
So 15, what did you do when you turned 15? That was life-changing.
Well, it's many different things, but at 15, I started to work. I worked in a grocery store to survive. I was in a Catholic school and I dropped out. I tried to get back into public school, but the neighborhood was such that the school that they told me to go to was so bad that it was run by the drug dealers. And I was one of the only few whites in the neighborhood. And I just decided that wasn't the smartest choice for me. So I ended up starting to work instead. And at that time in my neighborhood, there was probably 3 paths, at least only 3 paths that I saw. And one was, there was a lot of drug dealing going on, a lot of drug dealers. There was a lot of gangs. And like I said, tons of poverty. And then there was the radicals of the 60s. And of those 3 things, I ended up gravitating towards the radicals, the Black Panthers, and other groups, because to me, they offered what I thought at the time was an attempt to change the society, to create a utopia, to create a better world. And I clearly knew the drug dealers and the gangs weren't doing that. So I went in that direction, and that took me into my first big, 10 years of my life.
Wow. When did you decide to come west?
Well, it came through different things. So during that period of time, when I was 26, I led a trip to communist China. I still was a high school dropout at the time. And that was a big experience for me. When I came back, I got my GED, went to college, and got my degree. And at the time, I was doing a bunch of things, good and bad. I was working in the post office for 5 years on the night shift as a mail handler. I was studying in school. I started acting, and I was getting high and doing a lot of stupid stuff as well. So that was all kind of going on at the same time in my life. And then I ran into this motivator, Tony Robbins. I attended one of his weekend seminars and walked on hot coals. Yeah. It was a firewalk seminar. And in that weekend, basically my life flipped. He flipped my life. He gave me a bigger vision about what was possible. I stopped getting high. I stopped using any drugs and never did them ever again. I quit the post office and I decided to go pursue my dreams. And then it took me about a year where everything in my life collapsed before I was able to make the journey to California.
Did you know that you wanted to act all your life? You said it was your dream. Is that something that you'd always...
Oh, no, at that point, it was my dream. No, quite the contrary. As a teenager, I was a rather shy kid. So it was never all my dream as a teenager was survival. That was all my dream was to survive. I didn't have any big dreams. And all my life is kind of like doors opened. I went through and I recreated myself with a new identity. And so at that point in my life, acting was a new identity for me. And I took it to overcome fear and the fear of performing, the fear of being able to speak in front of people. And I started to grow as a human being once I overcame that fear. And so then that's why I went on the journey to pursue that. At that point was a dream for me to start acting. So I acted in theater in New York. I studied acting. I acted in movies in New York. And then I finally got a chance to make it to Hollywood.
Oh, that's amazing.
So now today you're a producer with, I forget now, 50 feature films under your belt?
I don't know, 40, 50, somewhere in that ballpark. But, you know, a lot. And that door opened too. You know, none of this was ever planned. Nowadays, I say God had a bigger plan for my life than I had for my own, because this wasn't, you know, a lot of people, they know what they want to do in life and they pursue it. I didn't. That wasn't me. And so when I got to Hollywood to survive, I was acting, but I, you know, started to scramble. I had $100 in my pocket. I had no money, and I started to find a way to survive. So I became a counselor, and I started counseling runaway kids in Hollywood for 2 years at a program called Covenant House. And one of my co-counselors started to direct rap videos, and I was acting at the time, but he asked me to be his production manager, which I said, well, what's that? And he explained it to me, and I said, oh, yeah, that's easy. I can do it. And so I stepped into being his production manager, and we did a bunch of rap videos, and I got that under my belt. Then I bluffed my way into a feature film as a line producer. And I did a great job on that one feature film. And then I created a new identity. I was now a line producer, and I went on to obviously do 40 plus feature films as a line producer. And the acting kind of moved to the wayside as I stepped into that new identity.
Oh, that's incredible. Kind of like fake it till you make it. You really.
Yeah. But also just, I had a lot of, one of the big things I learned through the experience with Tony Robbins too, was I had a mindset that I was basically, there was always solutions to everything. So even though I might not know what the solution was, I could find it together with other people, and we could solve any problem because of that mindset. So when I got into the world of line producing, it's all about coming up with solutions and always finding solutions. And to me, it was like, there's always a solution. So I'm never going to give up till I get that solution. That served me well in the film world, because when a lot of people were giving up and going, this is impossible, I would go, you kidding me? Nothing's impossible. Let's make it happen. And so I would step into the solution, and that's how I continued to grow.
Yeah, I think those of us that we developed that, I mean, come from a blue collar background with my family. Everything was, you know, if you want it to happen, you got to make it happen. Somebody's not going to let it happen for you. You know,
that's right.
We go through this metamorphosis, and we never realize this is where we're going to end up at.
Right.
And when I left the fire department, I was kind of lost. Like, now what do? All I know is being a fireman. And when I came out here, I never, ever thought that I would be writing #1 bestsellers. I would be speaking tour. I would have a show like this. I would be in some productions. I would be a screenwriter. And I finally felt, I was talking to one of my writing partners the other day, and she says, you know, you are where you were always supposed to be. You just didn't find a path here. And I think that's true for us, because we always believe there's a solution. There's never a dead end to anything.
You forgot to mention you're sitting next to me.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm sitting next to her.
My buddy.
An amazing songwriter.
Well, that's so true. You know, you are where you're meant to be. And I think that's one of the reasons that we connected so well at the American Legion, where we met, because, you know, we kind of, I'm blue collar, you're blue collar. We both kind of came from places that, in a way, some people would say what we're doing now, we shouldn't be here. But in reality, we are where we should be, because we went on that journey. You went from giving up once you retired from being a fireman, and then you recreated yourself. And that resonated with me, because like yourself, we've recreated ourselves, and we've grown each time that we've done that.
Yeah, and that's one of the points we want to do with this show, is to let people know that your potential is endless. You just have to have the right motivation. And actually, it was Tony Robbins for me too. I heard one of his seminars on TV that made me realize that I had endless potential and I had to make a choice. And right now, you're a motivational speaker, and I've listened to some of your programs, which are amazing.
Well, I've had a great opportunity because once I got involved with him, I've read probably over 500 books in the field of self-development, personal empowerment, psychology, etc. Because one of the things after I dropped out of high school at 15, that's when I really started learning, and I got a passion for learning, and it's never left me because I love to read. And to me, as long as you're alive, you might as well be learning. And so there's so much to learn. And so I've gone on to that journey because of him and had a bigger vision of my life. But like you said, it's about choices. And we always, a lot of times people don't realize, they think that they're victims of situations, but no, they always have a choice. And you can have a choice to overcome that situation, no matter how bad it is, or you can choose to not overcome it and give up. But that's your choice. And you do have it. And it's not going to say it's going to be easy because you make that choice. But if you make the choice that leads you in the path of growth, you'll overcome. You'll find a way. It may take you longer than you expected. It may take you a lot longer than you want, but you'll get there.
Right. I'm finding myself in the few years that I've known Tommy, he has encouraged me just as a person, as a friend, to go after my goals. I'm a nurse by trade, but I've been singing all my life. And that, to me, he's been such an inspiration and has encouraged me to continue to do what I'm doing. And I'm loving it. And I'm feeling some growth. So when I grow up, I want to be just like you guys. Okay. When I grow up, I don't know if I'm going to grow up.
When you grow up, when we grow up, when are we going to grow up? That's the question.
I don't know if I'm ever going to grow up. But isn't that the fun about it? Because I think as children, a lot of kids have such aspirations and they think, oh, I can do this and I can do anything. Somewhere along the line, either someone told them they couldn't, or a circumstance happened where they were told, oh, you'll never make it. But I love your tenacity and I love your inspiration, saying you just kind of have to go for it. And I love that about you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
And I always say the reward's not always financial. There's a lot of times the reward is more than monetary. It's your self-assurance. It's knowing you accomplished something. It's the people you meet. It's the people you surround yourself with and the experiences you get to be a part of. To me, that's invaluable.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more because, I say one of the biggest blessings in my life is the amazing people that are in my life. And I've met and had the ability to associate with some just constant, and it keeps growing. It's just, my circle keeps growing of amazing people who are willing to do whatever it takes to keep growing themselves. Right. And I get to be around the people like that. So to me, I'm always blessed because of that association. So, I'm always going to be wealthy in that, if nothing else.
Right. And we feed off each other's energy also.
Right. And it does. My mom used to tell me birds of a feather flock together. And I never really listened to her until I grew up. And I realized, the people that you surround yourself with, the ones that encourage you, the ones that, they uplift you instead of bringing you down and getting you into drugs, or like you said, I lived in a very poor neighborhood growing up. And, I had that choice to go that way. And thank God. But we all have our circumstances, right?
I think those of us,
and you do,
from humble beginnings, look at life a lot differently when we get.
Well, Tommy, I know myself, and I'm sure both of you, but I've made it a regular daily practice to write in a journal what I'm grateful for every day. And that you're right, because coming from humble background, I'm so grateful for all the things that I have in my life. And I don't have super financial success, and there's so much more that I want to have. But hey, I have so much, and I'm so grateful for all that I've been given. So when every day I start that out with gratitude, and I have a great day because of that. How can I have a bad day when I'm grateful? It just, even if it's a tough day, okay, it's a tough day. That's fine. But I'm still grateful for all the gifts I have, starting with my health, starting with life, and you name it, it just grows.
Yeah, just waking up in the morning. I woke
Yes,
up.
and
I'm grateful.
that's right. That's right.
And I have to do a little shout out here for my partner because the one screenplay I wrote, Life After Oblivion, which was made, she
Like it.
wrote and sang the title song.
So
And
Nice.
so, anyone in Hollywood, this gal is awesome.
I have a great writing team. As a matter of fact, Kesoteric Productions out in Riverside, a nice writing group, great musicians, Mark and Nick Ontiveros. They're very great guys. So they've encouraged me to continue with my dreams, and we write, I think, pretty well together.
I think you guys do fantastic.
That's fabulous. That's
Yeah, and,
fabulous.
And Tommy, he's a writer. I mean, he would have never thought. If you ever saw his story, we did an interview of him at the beginning of our podcast, and we talked about how he got to Hollywood, how he was here in California, and his story is so intriguing and so emotional. But he never gave up, and I see that in you as well, and I love it.
Yeah,
well, I think that's why we're all kindred spirits, because when I first came into the industry in Hollywood and some of the first movies, I have to say, I met some of the worst, evilest human beings on the planet. And I couldn't believe that people could be that evil. And they were producers, directors, just some bad people. And for a while there, I was going, if this is all there is, I don't think I can handle this, because I don't want to be around people like this. But like you said, we find who we are. And so I found past those people, and then I found myself into a circle of people who I want to be around. And then those people have disappeared from my life, and I don't ever want to be around those people ever again. And thank God I don't have to be. So that's, the blessing of finding people who have the same ethics and moral values and same vision that you have, and being able to surround yourself with them is a blessing.
Well, I have to say, the American Legion post we both belong to in Hollywood, we surround ourselves with some really quality people in all different aspects of the entertainment business. And
amen.
I can't think of anyone bad I've met there. And we've worked with, or we've become friends with and close with, and we met there. And it's been a blessing for people in the industry that are looking and are lost and are veterans. I would say go there.
Yeah. It's a great
100%. It's a great, and the building itself, as you know, the building is such a treasure. How it's designed, the architecture, the history of that building, the history of the American Legion in Hollywood. I mean, it's just such a fantastic place, and the energy is so great when you're there. That 100%. I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I didn't get to tell you, we talk about interacting with people the same type and encouraging each other. He's written a couple of books. Haboob Wind. It's a Amazon bestseller. Amazing.
I've read it. Yes, indeed. 5 stars. Go for that. Yes.
Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah. He also has
Thank
another
you for the plug.
Yeah, he also has another. He also has another book coming out, 2 Million Steps. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. So, but
sounds good. I'm looking forward to it as well.
That's in the Civil War, historical drama.
Nice.
And he does his research, so I love that. So let me ask you, if you were to talk to your 15-year-old self today, I know that's kind of like a common question, but really, what would you tell yourself? Knowing what you know now. I don't know.
It's kind of hard, because I was just watching something today too. It's kind of like all the things that I've gone through, or you've gone through, both of you, make us who we are today. And so did I go down, and I'll just speak for myself, did I go down paths that were probably the wrong path for way too long? Yeah, probably. But I went down a better path than some of the other paths I could have went down. So, and in the process, I learned and I grew, and it let me evolve to the person I am today. So I don't know if I'd want to go back and shape that. I mean, would I have done something different? Yeah, I probably wouldn't have dropped out of high school. I don't think that was the smartest move on my part, because that kind of put me into a life of struggle for a lot longer period of time. So, when we make poor choices, to go back and say, hey, you could have made a better choice. Yeah, I could have. But there was conditions that led to that choice, and I can't go back and change it.
Right.
But I'm just glad that all of it led to where I am today, because it could have led somewhere else. And, between the choices I made and the blessing that, God led me on a better path, I ended up in a good place, and I feel grateful for that.
Love it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I was asked that by a radio station not too long ago out east. They asked me the very same question. And I said, God gave me this path. I followed. I wouldn't change it because I learned and I grew. I can't
Right.
ask for anything different.
Yeah, I feel the same
Yeah.
way.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
and
it. If you don't learn and grow, well, then maybe there's a lot more you could tell that person back then and in the moment today of what you should be doing. If you're stuck and if you're in a place where you're not growing or you're not moving forward, well, then you need to talk a little bit of a tough love to yourself to get yourself out of that comfort zone and that stuck place. But if you're on a path that you are growing and you're doing what you love, whether it's music, Tina, or you writing and your show and all the stuff you do, Tom, to me, none of that's work because we're doing what we love. And to get to do what you love is a gift, because most people in the world don't have a chance to do that. So we're very lucky to be able to do stuff. Because I say, when I moved to California, I haven't worked a day ever since, because I just love what I do and I love people. So, if it's an 18-hour day, so what? I don't care. I mean, that to me doesn't classify it as work because I love what I'm doing. So it's fun.
No, absolutely.
I'm amazed. I often think about all the stuff that goes on in people's lives, and to see people succeed after going down a wrong path. I like to tell people it's never too late to change your life. It's like we say, take it back, because it's your life. Now it's time to take it back. It's an amazing thing that I see in you, I've seen in Tommy, and many people here in the studio, amongst my friends, and so on. And I look forward to seeing more things that you produce out there.
Well, I have a couple of great things, and hopefully I'll share them with you on the rest of the show. But I love the message of take it back, and I think take it back right now is really important too, because especially during this period of pandemic, a lot of people have moved back as opposed to take it back. And they've moved backwards. Unfortunately, they've moved into fear. They've moved into isolation. They've moved into comfort. They moved into limitation on their lives. And I think your message of take it back, especially now, people need to step up and take back their life and go forward and not be even smaller, but be bigger and do more, because that potential is in all of us. And that's the way you got to do it. Step up and take it back.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, John. Why don't we take a break for just a second, and we'll be back with John Duffy from Duffy Square Productions. And I just wanted to give a shout out to our sponsors, the Movie Muse Screenwriting Productions out of Temecula, California.
And also to Kesoteric Productions in Riverside, California.
Here at the Attorney King Studios in Coronado Island. And we're back with John Duffy again. And John, one thing you've been doing, and I've been lucky to be part of it, you've been holding sessions about reopening the entertainment industry. And it's been really important because I think those of us involved in it have been left out in the wind, not knowing what's going to happen. And there doesn't seem to be any one person taking control of things. And for me, I appreciate learning what other people are saying in the industry. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I started it because I've been doing Facebook Lives, and a friend of mine said, hey, why don't we do one on restarting the film industry, and we'll do it as a town hall and we'll invite guests. And I went, absolutely, let's do it. So Tony Baldy, who's also in the industry, a producer, a acting coach, and many other things, a motivator as well. Me and him partnered, and we started to do it. So I've done 5 shows where we have guests who are either production insurance companies, completion bond companies, producers, directors, a guy who's on the board of SAG-AFTRA, but is also involved in all the testing, the types of COVID testing that are available. And so I put together all these people who have a lot of knowledge of some of the realities we're facing in this challenging period. And so we did about 5. Matter of fact, I just talked to him yesterday. We're going to do another one on October 2nd on Friday. So, of course, you'll be invited to that. And we'll try and update people on some of the newer information that may be going out. And also some people, one of the directors who we had on one of the shows, he just finished a feature film, a Christmas show that he feature that he did. And he got through it safely with no problems with anybody getting the virus. So I'd love to have him come on and talk about those experiences. And you've been on and you shared some stuff. And I also know that, you just got your COVID compliance certificate as well. So I want to give a shout out to you as well with that. But we'll talk about that on October 2nd. I'll be posting about it. But I've been learning a lot about it too, about, because it's complicated. You want to protect everybody, but, sometimes the situations are set up. It's easy for the big guys. So if it's the studio like Netflix, there's a show going up in Canada, they're going to spend $2 million just on the testing alone for their show. Well, that's great when you have billions of dollars. Right. But for most of us, I don't know about you, Tommy. If you got $1 billion, please let me know. But for the rest, right? With the rest of us who are independent and are always struggling to make stuff happen, we don't have that kind of money. So we have to solve the problems without it. And sometimes the way it's set up, the game's a little bit rigged. So it's set up in a way that the forces, whether it be the money forces, the union forces, everybody has it. So if you have a lot of money, you can do this. But if you're not rich, you can't. Well, we got to find a way to do it anyway and not let people who are putting obstacles in our way prevent us from creating the life we need to do, telling the stories, making the films we need to do, and taking care of people and being safe and protective, but not be put in a bind where we are told that we just basically have to give up and quit, because I ain't buying it.
No, absolutely not. And for us, we're mostly independents.
Right.
Yes.
And we have I think some power behind us. Maybe not have the money, but we sure got the willpower.
Yes, we do.
Tenacity,
yes, we
right?
do.
Definitely.
So that's kind of sorry, Tina.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go.
No, I was just say, especially the drive. I mean, I see you not quitting at all. It's great.
Well, there's so many good people. And that's one of the best things, in the film industry that I love. There's 2 things. Obviously, there's certain stories that I really resonate with that I love to be part of. And then there's the people. And the people, when you have a great team of people and you're working together as a team to create a vision and overcoming obstacles and overcoming challenges. I mean, it's just such a great experience because there's not a lot of places in life we get to have that experience. So, and every time it's a new one with a new group of people overcoming a new challenge. And to me, it's a great adventure each time. So I love to keep having those adventures as much as I can.
Wow.
That's
awesome.
What? You're awesome, Tommy.
I know you're awesome too.
It's an awesome day. With some awesome people.
One like, yeah.
I know you're awesome.
I'm always, I can always observe when a woman wants to tell you something. Like, no.
No, he's totally oblivious. But we have a good time together, and we love being here, and we've loved speaking with you, John Duffy. If people want to get a hold of you or follow you online, do you have a Instagram, website, anything like that?
I'm on Facebook, which is probably the best place. I'm on Twitter, but I'm not a Twitter person per se. Instagram, I'm on Instagram, but I'm not I don't take pictures all the time. It's not my so for the time, for what works for me is probably Facebook is probably the best way to reach me. And that's where I tend to communicate the most, especially about what I'm doing in the film industry.
Yeah, I think it's very revolutionary. And we're in strange times right now, and we just don't know what's going to happen next. But as long as we're preparing ourselves, I think that makes all the difference. And it's been so amazing being able to talk to you today. Yeah. We would love to talk to you again, maybe after things open up, and see how things are progressing at that time. We want the world to open. We want people to be back to work, and I love that you're still working during this time, and that we're all trying to do something. So we want to encourage everybody else to do that. So.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Well, the next time I'll share following in Tommy's footsteps. I've written 2 memoirs that I'm trying to get out there.
Oh yes,
So,
I want you to talk about your books. I'm glad you brought that up. It totally slipped my mind.
No worries, man. Well, I'm following in your path there with the books, and so I've completed 2 memoirs. One is called Black Irish, Not Your Average White Boy, which kind of tells my journey from the from the Bronx to Hollywood. So that's one, and then the second one is my political journey, and that's called Mao to Reagan, a Born Again American, and it shares my political journey from coming from where I was in the 60s as a 60 radical revolutionary to who I am today, supporter of the country, the military, veterans, etc.
Is there a way to find out more about this if somebody's interested in following about when your book's going to come out? Or
once again, on Facebook, I'll be promoting some stuff. We're looking at getting a book publisher now. Somebody's working with me, trying to get me a publisher. And so we're going to be working on that. And as soon as I have some real information, I'll definitely share it. But that's probably, a next year activity. In the meantime, I got to kind of wrap a lot of it up by the end of this year. And then hopefully we'll get going next year.
I totally understand that with wrapping one up myself right now.
Yes.
Not easy.
Yeah. So
no,
I'm going to be on the corner, like fundraising money for it too.
she'll be flipping on the corner of the sign.
But John, it's been such a pleasure to have you here with us. We have John Duffy here with Duffy Square Productions on the Take It Back show with Tommy and Tina here in Attorney King Studios in beautiful downtown Coronado, California. Thank you once again, John Duffy, for being here. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. We want to again thank our sponsors for today, Kesoteric Productions in Riverside, California, and
the Movie Muse Productions Screenwriting in Temecula, California. Thank you so much.
So we just want to again say thank you. Thank you all for listening. So remember, it's your life. It's time to take it back.
Amen.